Just beyond the roar of the highway and the bustling intersection lies the Lehigh Cemetery. The only sound is the rain hitting the head of one small angel watching over one tiny grave. Her face weathered after more than 15 years of standing guard. She hovers over the body of 11-year-old Melissa Moody. Melissa's mother is close to her side. A white cross marks Judy Moody Mayo's final resting place. The mother-daughter have been here for 17 years. The victims, one man's tight hold over his 2 wives and children.
Fear and control. He was a lot better at it than we gave him credit for.
Investigators say Jessie James Cummings manipulated his family. According to court documents, Cummings mentally and physically abused his wives and their children to maintain control. Prosecutors say Cummings used this power to kill his sister, Judy Moody Mayo, and his niece, Melissa Moody, in the fall of 1991.
He loved to, and it's my opinion, manipulate women. He wanted control and dominance over them.
One of his wives, Sherry Cummings, told authorities Jessie had asked her to kill her sister Judy, but he never gave her a reason or a motive for the crime. Jessie instructed Sherry to take his sister to look at homes and shoot Judy when they came upon an empty house. Jessie was to be out of town the day the crime took place. He took his father to Oklahoma City to see a doctor. According to Sherry, she and Judy went to look at several homes but returned that afternoon. During her interview with authorities, Sherry said it was Jessie's other wife, Juanita Cummings, who shot Judy Moody Mayo while she was sitting on a couch in the family's living room. The children, including Judy's daughter, were outside when Judy was shot. Authorities say Jessie called the women through the door to check on their progress and give further instructions. Both women testified they cleaned up the scene and dragged Judy's body to the basement. They also said they kept Melissa restrained in a bedroom until Jessie returned. According to Sherry Cummings, she and Jessie disposed of Judy's body by a pond near Atoka Lake.
He did confess to OSBI agents that he helped move the body of Judy. And then at the clemency hearing, he stated that he lied to OSBI about that.
Her arms were in a backward position as if she was drugged, and when the body settled, so to speak, once the limbs are stretched to a certain way, they stay that way. And things along that line that, we were just able to put those things together. And like I say, knowing these 2 small women didn't move her by themselves.
The 2 used Judy's own truck to move the body and abandoned it on Highway 43. Both Juanita and Sherry Cummings told detectives after getting rid of Judy's body, Jessie molested his young niece. Jessie, Melissa, and Sherry left a short time later. Melissa would not return with the couple. On September 8, 1991, Jessie Cummings reported his sister and niece were missing. A couple would find Judy Moody Mayo's body in a pond near Atoka Lake. She was partially clothed. She had gunshot wounds to her arms and abdomen. More than a month later, on October 16, 1991, Melissa's remains would be found in Choctaw County, under a bridge. Dental records were used to identify her remains, but it was 4 years before an arrest was made.
We overlooked it way early. We didn't want to believe a family member could be doing this. We just thought it was some perp from outside the family. And we were talking to the killer or killers on a daily basis.
Investigators kept a close eye on the family while looking for other possible suspects and links in the case.
We always said one of the women would convict him on this deal, and basically out of fear for their own lives, that's exactly what happened.
Juanita Cummings was the first person to come forward. In a letter to friends, she wrote,
"I had to tell police everything I knew because I would have never made it out alive."
Sherry and Jessie Cummings were arrested a short time later. Both women accepted plea deals in exchange for information, but Cummings' attorney argues there were holes in the women's testimony.
Although these women admitted that they committed unprovoked, cold-blooded, premeditated murder, they escaped the death penalty by agreeing to testify that Jessie did. You lie, you don't die. And lie they did. But they did not lie well, and they did not lie consistently.
In addition, he argues there was no motive for either crime.
It doesn't matter what the proof is. It doesn't matter that there was absolutely no motive for Jessie to kill either his sister or his niece there's no matter that there's no direct evidence that he was in any way connected with these crimes, he must pay because an 11-year-old girl is dead.
We know what was presented to the district attorney who chose to file charges. The district attorney had access to all the facts. 12 members of a jury and their alternates in Cole County had access to that information as well. The appellate courts have all been through all of that information and gone over it with a fine-tooth comb. And knowing that we did everything we could and we did our jobs and the conviction has been upheld and the jury did the convicting, we feel good about the job that we have done.
Sherry Cummings was charged with accessory after the fact and permitting child abuse. She is serving a 25-year sentence. Juanita Cummings was charged with second-degree murder for the death of Judy Moody Mayo and was sentenced to life. Jesse Cummings was sentenced to death for the murder of his 11-year-old niece. Charges stemming from the death of his sister Judy were overturned because of a legal technicality. Cummings will be put to death on September 25th of 2008.
I wrote in my letter to the clemency board in one paragraph, as adults, we will sometimes
As adults, we will sometimes put ourselves in places where we know harm would come to us, but children do not know of this fear, but only to a trust in the adults that they are with. It's the last thing I can do for Melissa. The very last thing I can do is to see it through to the end. We were there at the beginning, and we would just like to see it through to the very end.